Some short hairstyles can make your face look, well, like a round loaf of bread. It might sound funny, but if you've ever looked at yourself in the mirror after leaving the salon, you probably understand this feeling all too well. Suddenly, your face looks rounder, heavier, and completely loses its sense of lightness and definition. Why does this happen? It's not because you've gotten older. It's not because short hair doesn't suit women over 60. Simply put, you've chosen the wrong style. This isn't a video about age-appropriate haircuts. This is about finding hairstyles that match your spirit today, lighter, clearer, and most importantly, freer. If you've ever wondered, is there a haircut that can make my face look softer, more balanced, and more like myself again? Don't skip this video. I'm going to show you 5 hairstyles that not only flatter a rounder face, but will also help you rediscover yourself in the mirror in a whole new light. Stay with me until the end, and let me know in the comments. Which one would you like to try first? 1. Soft shag with face framing layers. I still remember that morning clearly. She stepped into the salon, petite frame, carrying an old faded tote bag that read, "Carpe Diem." Her name was Margaret, 63, a retired literature teacher at a local high school. A smart woman, always careful with her words except when it came to herself. "I don't need anyone to tell me my hair looks good," she said with a soft, almost resigned smile. "I just want to look in the mirror and think, yes, that's me, nothing more, nothing less." I understood what Margaret meant, even beyond her words. Because after 60, women aren't chasing fleeting trends anymore. They want a haircut that respects them, something that doesn't force them to appear younger or weigh their features down like a heavy loaf of bread on a hot summer day. We sat down and talked. I asked if she'd ever tried a soft shag with face framing layers. Margaret laughed in that warm, knowing way only American women 60 plus do. "Oh, I doubt I'm still a shag kind of woman. But that's the beauty of it. Today's soft shag isn't the messy chaos of the 70s. It's softer, lighter, more refined, perfect for faces that have often wondered why short hair seems to make them look rounder." Soft shag is a quiet little miracle. Light, face-framing layers guide the eye from cheekbones down toward the chin. Rather than drawing attention to the width of the face, this style gently encourages the gaze downward, helping the face appear slimmer and more balanced without the need for contouring or heavy makeup. The key is length, just grazing the chin, never too short, never hugging the face too tightly. It gives the face room to breathe, softening harsh lines and inviting light back in. I told Margaret, "This cut doesn't demand curling irons, no blow drying, no mousse, no shine spray. You can tie it loosely when walking the dog, let it air dry while watering the plants. And oddly enough, the less effort you give it, the more beautiful it becomes." She smiled. "Sounds like me." When the cut was done, Margaret looked at herself in the mirror for a long time, not with the wide-eyed delight of a 20-something trying a new bob, nor the hesitant uncertainty of someone who's just chopped off decades of length. Her gaze was soft, like recognizing an old friend she hadn't seen in years. "Oh," she said quietly. "Turns out, I didn't need a haircut to make me look younger. I just needed one that made me feel more like me." I never promised Margaret that the soft shag would make her look 20 years younger. That was never the goal. What she left with was a clearer, lighter version of herself, not forced, not hidden, not chasing anyone else's idea of beauty. As she left, latte in hand, hair catching the wind, I thought, this is what beauty looks like after 60. Nothing loud, nothing forced, just enough for people to look and know she's found her way back to herself. 2. Side-swept Pixie with tapered neck. Pixie has always been a challenge, especially for women with round faces. Faces often labeled with words like sweet, charming, or youthful, even though deep down, many of these women secretly wish to look sharper, lighter, more defined when they see themselves in the mirror. I vividly remember my longtime friend, Linda. She's 62, a retired librarian, always wearing soft beige cardigans and owning the most delightful collection of tiny earrings. The day I suggested she try a side-swept pixie with a tapered neck, Linda froze for a moment. "Isn't that too revealing?" she asked, gently touching her cheek. "I've grown so used to my hair, hiding just a little of what time has left behind." I smiled, not to mock, but because her concern is so real for many women over 60. The fear that short hair strips away femininity, that without longer strands to soften or hide, there's nowhere left to take comfort, no gentle veil to shield full cheeks or a softened jawline. But beauty isn't dictated by length. It's defined by shape. This pixie doesn't chop the hair boyishly short. Its secret lies in the side-swept bangs, gracefully skimming the cheek to soften the jawline and guide the eye downwards. Instead of stopping at the widest point of the face, the cheek sits subtly, draws attention diagonally, creating a slimming, elongating effect. The tapered neck keeps the style clean and light, lifting the look upwards instead of dragging it down toward the jaw or neck. A soft, natural volume at the crown balances the proportions, preventing the dreaded flathead effect and bringing harmony to the face's curves. Linda sat quietly, then chuckled. "So, less like a balloon with a ponytail, more like a woman confident in her own angles?" I laughed with her. "Exactly. More like a woman who doesn't need to hide behind anything anymore. This pixie doesn't demand mousse, blow dryers, or a mini salon at home. A little texture paste and a quick tousle with your fingertips are enough to get you out the door for coffee or groceries." When Linda finally looked in the mirror, she didn't gasp like a teenager discovering a daring new look. She simply smiled, softly. "Oh, turns out I don't need to hide anything at all. I just needed a haircut that lets people see me, no hiding, no pretending." What I love most about this haircut isn't that it makes someone look younger, it's that it helps them show up more clearly in their own life. Through the way they smile, the way they hold their head a little higher, through the quiet confidence in every step that no longer tries to shrink away. As Linda walked out, head held high, I knew she'd just reclaimed something she thought she'd left behind: clarity in her own beauty. But while the pixie carries a touch of boldness, a quiet statement, the next style I want to share is much softer. A gentle whisper that opens light across the face and invites you to step out from behind the weight of old habits. Let's continue. 3. French-inspired boyish crop. Some hairstyles aren't meant to please anyone. They aren't there to earn compliments like, "You look so young," or surprise glances of, "Wow, you really dared to cut it like that." These haircuts exist for one simple purpose: to say, clearly and confidently, "I'm here, I'm visible, I'm no longer hiding." The boyish crop is one of those styles. I'll never forget that afternoon. Helen, 67, sat down in my chair, removed her reading glasses, and exhaled as though she'd just made a decision that had been waiting decades. Helen lives alone with her old cat Jasper and tends a tiny garden behind her house. She once told me, "My daisies understand me better than people ever have." She had kept her shoulder-length hair for 30 years, not because she loved it, but because change always felt like too much effort. "I think I'm ready for people to see me, not just my hair," she said with a soft laugh, running her fingers through her sun-faded, time-worn strands. Boyish crop sounds bold at first, but truly, it's very French. Subtle, elegant, effortless. The neckline is softly tapered, hugging the neck, revealing the delicate nape that's been hidden under hair for too many years. The sides are neatly trimmed along the fascinet, clinging, not heavy. At the crown, a bit of texture adds volume and balance for rounder faces. Soft, unstructured bangs fall gently across the forehead, casual and natural, like the motion of brushing your hair back while reading. This haircut doesn't try to hide your face. It opens it up, bringing focus to your eyes, your smile, the light along your cheekbones. And with that openness, a round face suddenly looks lighter, more elongated, free from the weight of heavy, framing strands. Clean lines create a natural visual lift. I told Helen, no blow dryer, no round brush, no mousse, no shine spray, just your hands and a touch of texture cream. She smiled. That gives me 15 extra minutes each morning to enjoy my flowers with Jasper. When we finished, Helen stood in front of the mirror, seeing her full face unobstructed for the first time in years. She didn't look younger, but she looked clearer. Her blue eyes sparkled beneath her feather-light hair. Her jawline appeared softer, more graceful, free from the tired weight of yesterday's hair. Now I enter a room with my presence, she smiled, adjusting the collar of her crisp white shirt, not with hair carrying the weight of decades. The boyish crop isn't for those who want to hide. It's for those ready to step beyond the comfort zone, not to attract attention, but to simply be clear with themselves again. What's fascinating is how cuts like this make you stand taller, walk lighter, breathe easier. No more angling for the flattering photo. No more hiding behind tired, outdated strands. If Pixie carefully redraws your facial contours, boyish crop boldly wipes the slate clean, returning you to simplicity, lightness, and clarity. But if you think all short hair is bold, not so fast. The next haircut I want to share brings us back to softness, to light, and to the gentle beauty of hair left to fall where it naturally wants to be. Let's keep going. Sit. Textured cut with curtain bangs. I once had a client named Susan, 65, newly retired after 3 decades of working with spreadsheets. She often joked, "The only exciting thing about my life is Excel, and this tired, old hair." When Susan walked into the salon that day, she said something soft, almost as if it slipped out without thinking. "It's been so long since I've seen my cheekbones." It sounded lighthearted, but behind that little sentence was something many women over 60 know too well: a slow, quiet surrender to habit. Like many others, Susan didn't keep her long hair because she loved it. She kept it because, well, it had always been there. Tied back when cleaning, left loose on grocery runs. It became part of her routine, like an old sweater hanging in the closet, too worn to wear, too familiar to toss. But what she didn't realize was how that habit had been weighing her down. That shapeless, heavy hair had blurred her face's natural lines, dragging her features down with it. I suggested a textured cut with curtain bangs. Nothing dramatic. Nothing trying too hard to scream, young again. Just soft, airy layers cut, with intention, gently framing her cheeks, falling naturally, without hugging or pulling at her face. Layers that invited light, and gave her features room to breathe again. The curtain bangs? Think of sheer autumn curtains in a sunlit kitchen, soft, light, falling just where they're needed. Not too short, not too thick, not heavy across the brow. Just grazing the temples, cleverly guiding the eye downward to elongate the face. Suddenly, what once looked wide feels balanced. Round becomes gentle. Heavy becomes light, I told Susan. You don't have to hide anything anymore. You just need to let the light fall where it belongs. And it worked. As those delicate strands brushed her cheekbones, the light found her again. Her eyes opened wider. Her smile seemed brighter. Her face lifted not by tricks, but simply by freeing it from the weight of tired hair. Susan laughed when I told her this haircut practically takes care of itself. No mousse, no blow dryer, no complicated styling routine. Let it air dry. Push the fringe aside when reading or watering the garden. And something magical happens with silver hair in this cute. It doesn't look dull. It looks soft, luminous, full of quiet life. Shades of gray and white catch the light instead of swallowing it, giving the whole face a kind of understated glow. A few weeks later, Susan texted Menno to say, "I look younger." She wrote something far more Susan. "I feel like I've come back to myself. Not younger, just clearer, lighter, easier." At this age, women don't need haircuts that make them gasp at their reflection. They need cuts that help them recognize themselves again, softly, gently, in a way that feels like home. If the soft shag is quiet softness, and Pixie or boyish crop speaks of subtle courage, then curtain bangs are simply a return to oneself with grace, with ease. But this journey isn't quite over. The next haircut I want to share isn't as gentle as you might think. It's sharper, more decisive for those ready to reclaim a polished, defined look that no longer fades quietly into the background. Are you ready? 5. Chin-Grazing blunt cut with deep side part. Blunt cut has long been given a bad reputation. It makes round faces look even rounder. I've heard that my entire career. But here's what no one tells you. Not every blunt cut turns your face into a sandwich loaf. The secret is the parting line. Karen, 66, a retired teacher, reminded me of this. When she first visited my salon, she said something that made me laugh. I need a haircut that makes me look less nice. It sounded like a joke, but for women with round faces, a sweet look is often mistaken for lacking personality. Karen said, I don't need people to say I look younger. I just want to look sharper, more defined when I look in the mirror, for myself. We chose a chin-grazing blunt cut with a deep side part. Simple as it seems, this choice solved exactly what Karen was looking for. The blunt cut, if done right at chin length, acts like a delicate picture frame, subtly shaping the face. It doesn't elongate, nor does it shorten. It simply gives the face clearer, more structured boundaries. But the real magic, the deep side part, that distinct diagonal line from the crown, draws the eye across the face instead of letting it settle on the widest part, the cheeks. This clever disruption of symmetry naturally slims and refines the appearance of the face. This isn't a haircut designed to grab attention. It's the kind of style that makes people look twice not at your hair, but at how clear, bright, and defined your features suddenly appear. Karen loved when I told her. No mousse, no round brush, no complicated blow-dry routine. It's beautiful air-dried or tucked neatly behind the ear. She laughed. I prefer saving time for my walks, not curling irons in front of a mirror. This haircut doesn't demand meticulous upkeep. A quick dry to set the shape, or simply letting it fall naturally, is enough. Chin length keeps things neat whether you're at the grocery store or attending a casual gathering. Tucking one side behind the ear reveals the jawline and neck, adding a subtle sense of lift and lightness. When Karen stood from the chair, she didn't say, "Oh, I look younger." She simply stood taller, adjusted the collar of her ivory blouse, and smiled at her reflection. This is me. Nothing left to hide. Sometimes, a haircut won't make you look 20 years younger, but it might make you walk taller, feel steadier, and see yourself more clearly. The blunt cut delivers a sense of decisiveness, clarity, and simplicity. Not whimsical like flowing layers, not hidden beneath heavy styling tricks. It suits women over 60, those who have moved past decades of should, must, and what's in style. When a haircut makes you lift your head higher, you know you've chosen right. And by now, perhaps you've realized, none of the styles I've shared promise forever young. They simply help you see yourself more clearly, carry yourself more lightly, and feel beautiful in the way you deserve at this age. Free, and entirely yourself. Turning 60 isn't a reason for anyone else to decide how your hair should look. It's not about cutting it short just to be practical, or sticking to outdated rules about what's appropriate for your age. 60 is the time in life when you have more freedom than ever to say, with clarity and confidence, this is what I want. This is what I choose. If there's a hairstyle that makes you feel lighter, more confident, and helps you step out of your comfort zone even just a little, then why not try it? Not because someone compliments you, not because someone is surprised by your change. Simply because you deserve to look in the mirror and see yourself clearly again. To feel light, free, and fully alive in your own reflection. You've spent enough years living by expectations. Now is the time to choose what makes you feel at peace. What helps you smile a little more easily when you catch sight of yourself in passing? If the stories I've shared today have brought you even the smallest moment of calm, reminded you to be gentle with yourself, or simply made you smile, I invite you to subscribe so we can continue this journey together. I'll still be here, sharing more with you about hair, about aging, about beauty that doesn't need to shout. A beauty that simply feels right, for you, in this moment of your life.